Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum viewers. My name is Professor Dr. Rizwan Jamil Qureshi and I'm covering techniques today. But before that, I would like to have some background that we have software engineering. That's my specialization. What is software engineering? That question arises. I already covered in my previous videos that software engineering is composed of standard methodologies, standard techniques, standard tools to develop high quality software that should be economical, reliable and efficient. So software engineering has three layers. Now question comes, what is methodology? What is a technique? What is a tool? So we have methodology definition. Methodology is the standard procedure or procedures in a company to analyze, design and implement the software system. Now for the implement, some students have confusion that where is maintenance. So normally we say maintenance is under the implementation generically, but we have maintenance separate activity. So we say coding, testing and maintenance. So don't confuse about that. So methodology is the standard procedure to analyze, design, implement the software system. So if we don't apply standard methodology, standard techniques, standard tools, result will be low quality software. So if we want to have high quality software, we have to apply the standards. Now each methodology has its SDLC, System Development Life Cycle. Traditional procedures in a company to develop, maintain and replace the software system is called SDLC. So each methodology has its SDLC and every methodology has its SDLC. So SDLC, how we practice the standard methodology in terms of how we customize, how it becomes tradition of the company. Like Microsoft is using Microsoft Solution Framework. It is their traditional methodology. So Microsoft has different versions for Microsoft Solution Framework, for Windows, for Visual Studio, for Game Studio. And then I gave examples like for Adamsoft is a software company in Pakistan which is developing hospital management system. We have SQL system, they are developing hospital management system. We have NextBridge, they are developing financial system. We have NextGen, they have also developing financial system. NetSol, they have ERP system, they have leasing software, they have assurance software. So each company, NextBridge, Adamsoft, SQL system, NextGen, they have their customized methodology. So you will find customized methodology which becomes tradition of those companies, like customs of each country. We have customs of each company. It becomes their tradition. How they get the success, that is their tradition. Now we have three common phases in all the methodologies. We have analysis, design, implementation. But we have in practice, we have planning phase, which is we do before doing the detailed analysis. Before winning the project, we have to do planning. So the first layer is methodology, second layer is technique. So what is a technique? That question arises. Technique is a method to complete a specific phase of SDLC. For example, for planning phase, for analysis phase, for design phase, we can have more than one techniques. So techniques are applied to accomplish or complete a specific phase of SDLC. So what are the planning phase techniques? We need to calculate cost of project, how much time we need, how much effort we need, how much will be the size of software in terms of lines or functions or objects, and how much will be the team size. These are the basic questions, basic factors we need to start any project, and we need to submit a proposal or project specs to the customer, and then customer will decide which company will sign the contract act with the customer to do the project. So which company will win? So it's up to the customer. He will sign like Microsoft, SAP, Oracle in Pakistan, for example, NetSol, Technologics, NextBridge, NextGen, PureLogic. So that are different companies. I am giving example. So customer can sign. He will ask 3 or 4 software companies to submit proposal or project specs. Then he will decide which company will sign the contract and will do the project. And I already told you the software companies have to deposit a token money as a guarantee. The company who wins the project, who signs the contract, their token money is kept, and rest of the companies, their token money is returned. Now, what are the techniques for planning phase to calculate cost, time, effort, size in terms of line, number of lines, number of functions, number of objects, and what will be the effort we need, what is the team size. We have different cost estimation techniques, and I already have a separate video over the cost estimation techniques on soft cost estimation techniques. So first technique is the line of code method, in which we use the history of the past project. Then you have function point, which use the number of functions of the current project, new project that we are going to develop. And then we have COCOMO 1, we have COCOMO 2. COCOMO 1 is for structured programming projects like COBOL, Pascal, C, Visual Basic, ASP, and COCOMO 2 was introduced for object-oriented projects. Both were introduced by Barry Boehm, COCOMO 1 and COCOMO 2. So we have function point to calculate number of functions and number of what will be the cost of project, and then we use backfiring method to calculate the size in terms of lines. So we have a matrix available, a table available based on the history of past projects, average source line of code per function point. We know function point of the new project multiplied by the source line of code per function point. We calculate the size in number of lines. And then COCOMO 1, we have formula to calculate effort, time, and number of people. So matrix is completed what we need to start a project, to quote a project, or to submit project specs. And then COCOMO 2, we have number of objects, how many objects are there. And then we have agile budgeting. Agile budgeting, we have 3 cases. Company knows how much cost per sprint they are paying to the programmers, so how many sprints they have to deliver. So multiplied by cost per sprint, multiplied by number of sprints, like for example 6, 8 or 4. So we consider best case, average case, worst case. So best case, for example, 4 sprints, average case 6 sprints, and worst case is 8 sprints. So we calculate the cost for each case, and then when we calculate EC, estimated count, O plus 4 into R plus P divided by 6. So worst case plus 4 into average case plus best case divided by 6. So we have EC. That is the cost estimation techniques available. Then we have schedule displaying technique. So what is schedule displaying techniques we have? We have Gantt chart, we have PERT chart, and for agile we have burn down chart, lean we have Kanban. Gantt chart shows the activities in terms of horizontal bars like planning phase, analysis phase, design phase, implementation phase. PERT chart, program evaluation and review technique, that PERT stands for. PERT was introduced by NASA. PERT has a class diagram like symbol. So we have 3 layers, 3 rows. The first row has 2 columns, activity number Second column, activity duration, like 4 weeks. Second row, activity name, like planning phase. Third row, again 2 columns are there, start date, end date. And then you have analysis, same activity number, activity duration, activity name, start date, end date. Then you have design, activity number, activity duration, activity name, start date, end date. And then implementation, activity number, activity duration, activity name, start date, end date. The difference between Gantt chart and PERT chart is that PERT chart shows better interrelationship between the activities. Like for example, it is very clear, like you are doing analysis and design in parallel as compared to the horizontal bars in the Gantt chart. So we have schedule displaying techniques. Then you have risk estimation technique. We need to calculate risk like budget risk, schedule risk, component failure risk. So we have a formula, risk exposure is equal to probability multiplied by cost impact. So if this risk will hit to the project, how much is the chances of risk exposure, how much in terms of cost it will affect to the project. So these are planning phase techniques. Our next phase of SDLC is analysis. In the analysis, we have to calculate, we have to estimate, we have to measure detailed requirements. So we have to collect requirements. So what are the requirement techniques we have, requirement gathering techniques we have? We have 2 types of requirement gathering techniques. We have traditional techniques, we have modern techniques. In the traditional, we have, what are the traditional techniques we have? That is the question. We have 5 type of traditional requirement gathering techniques. We have interview, we have questionnaire or survey, we have group interview, we have observation, we have study system documents. Interview technique also has 2 types. We have planned interview and we have unplanned interview. In the planned interview, we have pre-interview activities, we have during interview activities, we have post-interview activities. For example, before interview activities, pre-interview, we need to prepare questions according to the type of user. Like it's a top management, middle management, lower management. So according to their levels, you will prepare questions according to their usage of the system. So top management questions will be different than the lower management. Like for example, how you will enter the data. What are the parameters you need to enter the data? That question you will not ask to a top manager or project manager or company director or chief executive. You will ask chief executive or top management that what type of reports you need. So nature of question is different for top management, for operational management, for middle management is different. So according to the level, according to their level of management, according to their usage, you will prepare questions. Then you will inform the agenda to the person you are going to conduct the interview. You will take appointment. These all are pre-interview activities. And then as per the appointment, you will go to take interview, and then you can take minutes of meeting, or you can record if he will give you permission or she will give you permission. And then during the interview, you will note facial expression that he is telling a lie or he is telling true. And then if some question is not clear, answer is not clear to you, you can rephrase it and you can ask in a different way until you are clear. And for example, if he doesn't give you permission to take minutes of meeting or to record, then you are listening. So post interview, your memory will fade within 24 hours or 48 hours. So you have to take detailed notes after the interview. And if something is not clear, you need to take appointment again for the second interview. But normally, the top management doesn't allow you to take interview again and again. So you have to be very good for the first time to collect detailed requirements. Then unplanned, you can go to the customer site and any user, you can ask him. If he is ready, he will give you answer. If he is not ready, he will not give you answer. Or if he is busy, he says sorry. Or he will just try to kill the time and finish the interview as early as possible so he can complete his task, what he is doing. Then questionnaire is the second type. In the questionnaire or survey, we have two types of surveys. We have open-ended survey and we have closed-ended surveys. Open-ended questionnaire, closed-ended questionnaire. Open-ended questionnaire, you have question, you have a space to answer anything he wants to write. But the closed-ended questionnaire, you have to use Likert scale. Normally people spell wrong when they use Likert scale. Likert spelling is L-I-K-E-R-T. So it's used in statistics. So it's a statistical technique. Likert scale, we have different scales. If we have small amount of data, we use scale 1 to 5. Very high, high, nominal, low, very low. If we have large amount of data like 10,000 plus, then we use scale 1 to 10. So these two scales are used for Likert scale. For small amount of data less than 10,000 sample size, we use 1 to 5, very low, low, nominal, high, very high. So for example, 1 very low, 2 low, 3 means nominal, 4 means high, 5 means very high. Then the person has to select one of the questions, one of the answers, like 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. So you have to be very good. You have to check your questions, validate your questions, that these questions are according to what you need to collect requirements from the customer, so he can select the answer and question should be very clear. There should not be any abnormality or confusion in the question, and it should be asked like that: how much you want to use in terms of usability, in terms of technically, or how you would like to have interact the system in terms of user friendliness. What are the how many number of parameters you want to have to enter the data, what kind of how you want to rate the user interface. For example, if you are taking question related to the approval of user interface, so something you need to be very clear about the questions, and they should be asked in a very tricky way so you can get the requirements. Then you have group interview. In the group interview, you collect the different levels of management at one location, like top management, middle management, lower management, all at one site, and then you ask questions related to the system, and you want to have collection of requirements in this way. But if the customer has multiple sites, then group interview is using video conferencing or something, or different cities are there, you try to collect them at one location, and then you try to collect the requirements. And then you have observation. In the observation, normally we don't practice it as a standalone technique. We go to the customer side and we observe how data is flowing from the top management to lower management, or lower management to top management. What is how many type of users, what is the flow of information, how the current system is running. So in this way, you just try to observe without asking any question. So I read from different books, normally unplanned interview is used with the observation. So that's it's a mixture, hybrid style. And you have fifth technique in the traditional requirement gathering technique is the study system documents. So current system, it could be manual, could be automated. In either case, documentation is there. So using the documentation, you study the system documents and you try to collect the requirements. So these are the 5 requirement gathering techniques for the traditional style. And then you have modern. In the modern, what are the modern techniques to collect the requirements? We have prototype, we have JAD, we have GSS. Prototype or JAD or GSS, the requirement is one of the traditional techniques must have been applied before you go for modern techniques, or one of the modern techniques. You have used interview, questionnaire, group interview, observation, study system documents. So they must be used before you go for prototype. So if you have used interview or survey, then you can go for prototype. Prototype is a demo version of actual system. So you design the prototype and you ask the customer to evaluate and to validate the requirements. So in the prototype, we again have 2 types. We have throwaway prototyping and we have evolutionary prototyping. In the throwaway, the first prototype, what you ask the customer to evaluate, you throw it after listening to him. And for the second prototype, you redesign from scratch. Whereas evolutionary, you evolve the first prototype till customer approves the interface and the requirements. Then you have JAD, Joint Application Design. That is the second modern requirement gathering techniques. So what is JAD? Joint Application Design. It was introduced by IBM, and again requirement is one of the traditional techniques have been applied before you go for JAD, Joint Application Design. In the JAD, the customer and the software company, the top people, and from each type of management, they are invited at a neutral location. Like we have Hilton, we have Pearl Continental, we have Movenpick. All these 3-star, 4-star, 5-star hotels, 7-star hotels, they have business hall. So joint application design has some requirements. The first requirement, it must be conducted at a neutral location like a business hall in Hilton or Movenpick or Pearl Continental or Intercontinental Hotel. Second requirement, the key people from both sides, software company side and the customer side, must be present to attend the JAD session. Third requirement, one of the requirement gathering techniques, traditional requirement gathering techniques, have been practiced. The fourth requirement, it should not be conducted more than 1 to 2 hours, because key people from both sides, software company side and the customer side, are present. So company work is also affected, customer's work is also affected, and software company side work is also affected. So you cannot prolong it for 3 to 4 hours. It should be conducted once in the life of system development. You cannot redo the JAD session again and again. Once. These are the 5 requirements to conduct JAD session. These are the requirements to conduct. Then In the JAD session, the key people are sitting, the project manager is there, and there is a person who is called scribe, 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 who takes minutes of meeting. Now the project manager will show prototype, the demo, and ask the customer to evaluate. And in this way, first interface, second interface, third interface, fourth interface, so different interfaces, prototype is completed, and the customer side will give you feedback. There are some problems of JAD session: recorded, noted, reported. What do you think? What are the problems? The first problem: key people are sitting from customer side, and for example, your immediate boss is also sitting. If immediate boss is saying something wrong about the system to be developed, and you go against low level management or middle level management, go against the boss, his immediate boss, immediate boss will not like it, because ego issues are there, especially in second world, third world countries. So he will not like it, and he will save it in his memory. Once JAD session will finish, you will go to your office and your boss will call you. Tal, come. Thank you very much. Krujan Haya, fire. System will be developed, but you will no more in the company. You will be no more in the company. So this is the first problem. Because of that, JAD session was not successful technique. Second problem: there are few people which are more talkative. Gir, 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 gir. They speak more because they love to speak. Now, the talkative people will lead the session. There are some people who are very shy. They will not speak until you ask them to speak. Now you have 1 to 2 hours. You have limited time. These people, talkative people, they will speak even they know or they don't know. Maloom or Mafi Maloom, they will speak. So in that case, the shy people, until you ask them, especially pinpoint, then they will speak. Maybe they have more requirements, but they will not speak. So Mafi Faida, there is no benefit of JAD. You cannot collect requirements. And especially when your immediate bosses are sitting, you will be reluctant. You will be hesitating to speak. So because of the problems of JAD, Joint Application Design, we have group support system. The third modern technique was introduced. Group support system is conducted like JAD session. We call them sessions. JAD sessions, GSS session. JAD session, GSS session. Group support system session. It has the same requirements like JAD. One of the traditional techniques have been applied. Neutral location, neither software company side nor customer side. So nobody can disturb during the meeting, during the session. Third requirement, 1 to 2 hours. Fourth requirement, once in the life of the system development. Fifth requirement, key people from both sides must be present. There is one more requirement added in the GSS than the JAD. There must be terminal in front of each participant, and there should be a separation, partition, like internet cafe. You know, you go to internet cafe, there are partitions, so nobody can see what you are looking, what you are watching. So there is partition, everybody has terminal, and everybody can contribute. So the problems of JAD, in which you have the chance of victimization, chance of harassment, is eliminated. Now the comments, what you are typing about the interface or the requirement project manager discuss, you are typing. Now the shy people even can contribute, and in less time you can collect more requirements, and there is no chance of victimization because these comments are anonymous, hidden. You are killing your boss, but boss doesn't know that my subordinate is killing me, he is countering me, he is against me, he is saying I'm wrong, and this is not requirement, this is the requirement. Thank you very much. Jazakallah khair. May Allah bless you. Assalamu alaikum.